When Big Shaq walked into a mosque during Ramadan, no one recognized him. But what he did next left the entire community in tears. Before we continue this story, let us know where you're watching from. If you enjoy stories like this, subscribe to the channel because tomorrow we have another special story for you. It was the final week of Ramadan, and the sun had just begun to set over the modest neighborhood in Atlanta. The streets buzzed with the usual evening life, children playing, neighbors chatting, and the faint hum of traffic. But inside the Al-Huda Mosque, the air was different, charged with anticipation and warmth. Volunteers rushed to prepare iftar, the evening meal to break the fast. Steam rose from massive pots of lentil soup, the aroma of spiced rice and grilled meat filling the halls. In the corner of the kitchen, an imposing figure quietly moved trays of dates and water bottles. His broad shoulders almost spanned the doorway, and his head nearly grazed the low ceiling. A gray kufi cap rested atop his bald head, and his loose shirt hung heavy on his powerful frame. Despite his size, his movements were gentle, his demeanor humble. "Excuse me, mister," a small voice called out. Shaquille O'Neal turned and looked down. A little girl, no older than 8, stood with wide, curious eyes. Her hair was tied into 2 neat braids, and she clutched a plastic cup. "Can you reach the top shelf? We need the dates," she asked, tilting her head. A slow grin spread across Shaq's face, revealing his familiar, endearing gap-toothed smile. He leaned down, easily lifting the girl onto his shoulder with one hand. She giggled as she reached for the tray, her fingers brushing the neatly stacked dates. "Got it!" she cheered. Shaq gently lowered her to the ground, chuckling softly. "Teamwork makes the dream work," he said, patting her shoulder. The girl beamed up at him, completely unaware that the man before her was an NBA legend. Shaq relished the anonymity. For once, he was just another pair of hands helping, a part of the community rather than the spotlight. As the call to prayer echoed through the mosque, everyone gathered in the prayer hall, their hunger tempered by devotion. Men lined up shoulder to shoulder, their heads bowed in reflection, while women formed their own rows, serene and focused. Shaq knelt among the men, his massive frame a stark contrast, yet blending seamlessly in the spirit of unity. After prayers, the community gathered in the dining hall, where long tables stretched across the room, lined with simple yet plentiful dishes. Shaq carried a steaming pot of harira, its savory aroma mingling with the scent of fresh bread. An older man with a thick, graying beard watched Shaq navigate the room. The man's face was etched with lines, his eyes weary yet kind. "Brother, you must be new here," the man remarked, his accent hinting at the Middle East. Shaq nodded, extending a hand. "Yeah, just visiting. Name's Shaquille." The elder shook his hand firmly. "Yusuf, welcome Shaquille. May your fast be accepted." "Thank you, brother," Shaq replied, genuinely moved by the hospitality. They shared the meal side by side. Yusuf spoke of his journey, of fleeing war in Syria, of finding refuge in America, and of the quiet pain of missing a homeland that no longer existed. "Back home, I was a teacher," Yusuf whispered, staring into his cup. "Here, I'm just another old man with a story." Shaq's heart tightened. He understood the weight of carrying a past that few could understand. Fame had given him many privileges, but it had also made him a giant who sometimes felt unseen, his real self buried beneath the persona of Shaq. "You're not just a story, Yusuf," he said softly. "You're a teacher. Maybe not in a classroom, but to everyone who hears you." The elder's eyes shone with gratitude. As the night drew to a close, the community began to disperse, exchanging warm farewells and promises to meet again for Eid prayers. Shaq lingered by the entrance, watching children play on a small, worn basketball court beside the mosque. The concrete was cracked, the rim bent, and a deflated ball rolled across the ground. Yet, Laughter filled the air. Pure, unrestrained joy. A group of boys nudged one another, sneaking glances at the towering stranger. One brave soul finally approached. "Hey, mister, do you play basketball?" the boy asked, his eyes bright. Shaq grinned, kneeling to their level. "I shoot a little here and there." "Bet I can beat you," the boy challenged, puffing his chest. Shaq chuckled, his deep laugh rumbling like distant thunder. "All right, kiddo. Next time I'm here, it's game on." Before leaving, Shaq spoke quietly with the mosque's organizer, learning more about the community's needs. He didn't reveal his plans. There was no need. The morning after Eid prayers, workers arrived at the mosque. A new basketball court gleamed. Polished wood, a perfect hoop, and fresh paint. Boxes of shoes and basketballs were placed carefully beside it. A small note hung from the hoop's net. From one team to another. Anonymous. News spread quickly. Children cheered, racing across the court, their laughter echoing through the neighborhood. Aisha, the little girl from the kitchen, hugged a pair of sneakers with her name stitched on them. "Allah sent a giant angel," she squealed, her braids bouncing as she ran. Shaq, miles away, watched a video on his phone of the children playing. He smiled, his heart full. On his Instagram, he posted a selfie at the mosque, captioned, "Blessed to learn from the best this Ramadan. Community is everything." The new basketball court became the heart of the community. Every evening, children gathered to play, their laughter and shouts of excitement filling the air. Parents watched with warm smiles, grateful for a safe space for their kids to enjoy. The mosque's board members were equally amazed. They gathered one afternoon to discuss the unexpected gift. The president, a gentle, thoughtful man named Imam Tariq, adjusted his glasses as he examined the note left on the court. "Anonymous. Who could have done this?" he wondered aloud. "It must be someone from the community," suggested Hannah, a teacher who organized the mosque's youth programs. "But no one has claimed it." Imam Tariq nodded thoughtfully. "Whoever it is, may Allah bless them. This has brought so much joy to our children." Yusuf, the elderly Syrian refugee, leaned in. "I saw a tall man the other night, tall as a tree. He helped in the kitchen, served food, listened to my old stories, and he played with the children." "Maybe it was him," Hannah said with a smile. "A gentle giant, it sounds like." But no one knew his name, and the mystery remained. To most, it was just a beautiful, anonymous act of kindness. A gift with no strings attached. Yet, to those who had seen the towering stranger, it lingered like a secret whispered in a dream. The news of the transformed basketball court eventually caught the attention of a local reporter named Reggie Coleman. Known for his curiosity and knack for uncovering stories that celebrated unsung heroes, Reggie visited the mosque one sunny afternoon. He interviewed children bouncing new basketballs, their faces bright with excitement. He spoke to parents who appreciated the safer, more welcoming space. Finally, he sat down with Imam Tariq and Yusuf beneath the shade of a tree near the mosque. "What a beautiful gift this is," Reggie remarked, his notepad ready. "Do you have any idea who could have done it?" Imam Tariq chuckled softly. "I have no idea. We believe it was someone who understands the meaning of true charity, giving without seeking recognition." Yusuf's eyes twinkled. "I told them about the tall man. So tall, like a building. He carried trays, served iftar, and spoke to me as if he were my son." Reggie's pen paused. "A tall man, you say? Did he mention his name?" Yusuf furrowed his brow. "Shaquille, I believe. Shaquille something. A kind heart, that much I know." Reggie's heart skipped a beat. "Shaquille O'Neal," he whispered, almost to himself. "Maybe," Yusuf chuckled. "I don't know much about basketball, my friend. I know about books in my homeland." Reggie's mind raced. If this was truly Shaquille O'Neal, It was a story unlike any other, an act of humility from a man whose fame had always cast a large shadow. Determined to confirm his suspicion, Reggie began to dig deeper. He reached out to the foundation that often managed Shaq's charitable projects. After several emails and phone calls, he managed to connect with a representative. "Hi, this is Reggie Coleman from the Atlanta Journal. I'm trying to confirm if Mr. O'Neal was involved in a recent project, specifically a basketball court renovation at Al Huda Mosque." The voice on the other end hesitated. "I can't speak directly for Mr. O'Neal, but I can say he has a history of supporting communities quietly. If it was him, it would be in the spirit of giving without seeking attention." Reggie hung up, his suspicion now almost a certainty. He wondered if he should reveal the truth in his article. Would it violate the spirit of anonymity that had made the gesture so pure? Before writing his piece, Reggie decided to make one more stop: St. Augustine's Youth Center, where Shaq often volunteered. The center was bustling with teenagers, basketballs echoing on the gym floor. Reggie met Coach Harris, a retired player himself and a close friend of Shaq's. "Yeah, Shaq stops by here often," Coach Harris said. "Big guy, big heart. Always looking out for kids who need a break." "Do you think he could have donated a basketball court to the mosque in Midtown?" Reggie asked cautiously. Coach Harris's grin widened. "Wouldn't surprise me one bit. That's Shaq. He does things like that all the time. He doesn't need the credit, he just wants to make people smile." Reggie nodded, his instincts confirmed. Shaq had left his mark once again, an act of kindness wrapped in humility. That evening, Reggie sat at his cluttered desk, his fingers poised over the keyboard. He thought of Yusuf's hopeful eyes, of the children whose days now ended in joyful games, and of Shaq's desire to give quietly. He began typing, his words respectful yet revealing. In a world that often glorifies grand gestures for fame, a quiet gift was given to a humble community. A basketball court restored, a symbol of unity, from a man whose heart is as big as his stature. Though he sought no recognition, the impact of Shaquille O'Neal's generosity will echo for years in the laughter of children and the gratitude of those who witnessed it. Reggie's article was published the following week. It spread quickly, shared on social media, reaching the mosque and the community. Shaq himself saw it, tagged in countless posts. Instead of a grand statement, he simply commented, "Blessed to be part of something bigger. Community is everything." The article about the anonymous donation spread quickly, circulating among the mosque community and beyond. At first, people were amazed to discover that Shaquille O'Neal, an NBA legend, had not only visited their mosque but had also quietly given them such a meaningful gift. Aisha, the young girl who had asked Shaq to reach the dates, showed the article to her father Kareem. He chuckled, shaking his head in disbelief. "That was him?" he said. "I had no idea. I just thought he was a gentle giant who loved kids." "He helped me carry the soup," Aisha giggled. "He said we were a team." Kareem's heart swelled with pride. He felt grateful, not just for the new court, but for the lesson of humility. Here was a man whose fame stretched across the world, yet he had served quietly, as an equal. A few weeks later, during a bright, breezy Saturday afternoon, the mosque organized a family day. The new basketball court was decorated with banners, balloons, and bright colors. The sound of sneakers squeaking against the polished floor echoed joyfully. The kids gathered for a 3-on-3 tournament, their energy contagious. Just as the first whistle blew, a familiar figure appeared near the entrance. A towering man in a simple hoodie and jeans. Aisha's eyes widened. "Baba! It's him! It's the giant!" Kareem looked up, his jaw dropping. It was Shaquille O'Neal, standing there with a warm, wide smile. The community gathered around him, their excitement a mix of awe and gratitude. Imam Tariq approached Shaq, extending his hand. "Brother Shaquille, "We are honored to have you here," he said, his voice steady, but touched with emotion. Shaq shook his hand warmly. "Honored to be here, Imam. This place has a lot of heart." Someone handed Shaq a microphone, and the crowd settled down. Kids gathered at his feet, looking up as if at a giant tree. "I just wanted to come back and see my team," Shaq began, his deep voice both playful and sincere. "I wanted to make sure the court was getting some use. Looks like it's got a lot." The crowd laughed, and Shaq's easygoing charm broke through any lingering formality. "But listen," he continued, "this court isn't just about basketball. It's about family, community, and giving each other a chance to grow. We're all on the same team, no matter where we're from or what we believe." Applause filled the air. Many eyes glistened, some from the joy of seeing a legend, others from the deeper understanding of his message. Before long, the kids began pleading for a game. Shaq laughed, towering over the group, and took off his hoodie, revealing his massive frame. The older boys, filled with excitement, begged to be on his team. All right, Shaq grinned. "Let's do this. 5-on-5. And Aisha, you're my point guard." Aisha's eyes sparkled. She could barely reach Shaq's waist, but she nodded fiercely, her determination bright as a flame. The game began, chaotic yet joyous. Shaq moved gently, guiding the kids, letting them shoot and score. He occasionally let out a playful growl, making them laugh. Each shot made by the children was met with cheers. Toward the end of the game, Yusuf, the elderly refugee, wandered near the court's edge. Shaq noticed him and, in a surprising move, handed Yusuf the ball. "Come on, big fella," Shaq urged. "Show them how it's done." Yusuf chuckled, his eyes crinkling with laughter. With trembling hands, he dribbled once and awkwardly tossed the ball. It bounced off the backboard, right into Shaq's hands. Shaq grinned, lifted Yusuf slightly by his waist, and helped him lay the ball in. The entire court erupted in laughter and applause. 2 points, Yusuf," Shaq declared. "We're unbeatable." For a moment, the world seemed simple. Just a court, a ball, and a shared moment of joy. After the game, as the sun began to set, the community gathered for a meal. Shaq sat with families, listened to their stories, and shared his own. He spoke of his childhood, of his mother's strength, of lessons learned from his stepfather. Aisha's mother, Amira, approached with a plate of baklava, wrapped in a napkin. "Thank you, Mr. O'Neal," she said softly. "You've given our children so much more than just a court." Shaq accepted the plate gently. "Thank you, sister. And it's Shaq," he replied warmly. "I just wanted to share a little love. You all taught me a lot during Ramadan. I'm grateful." That night, as the gathering wound down, Shaq took one last walk around the court. Children chased each other, their laughter ringing out under the setting sun. The community had become a part of him, a reminder that no matter how big the world seemed, the greatest gifts often came quietly, without expectation. Back at his hotel, Shaq sat alone, his eyes lingering on a photo someone had handed him, a snapshot of the day, with the entire community crowded around him, faces beaming. His phone chimed, texts from friends, clips of the day shared online, comments from people around the world. But the one that mattered most was a simple message from Reggie Coleman. "Hey, big fella, what you did out there today, that's legendary." Shaq leaned back, a quiet smile on his face. Not for the fame, not for the recognition, but for the connections he had made, bonds of kindness that stretched beyond any court or career. The weeks following Shaq's visit left a mark on the mosque and the surrounding community. The story of the anonymous donation and Shaq's return spread beyond the mosque's walls. Local news channels covered it, and the video of Shaq lifting Yusuf to score went viral online. Students from nearby schools came to see the court. Some just played basketball, while others found it a place to connect and share. The mosque's youth group began organizing tournaments and mentorship programs. using the court as a space to unite kids from different backgrounds. Aisha's father, Kareem, found himself organizing more activities. "We should use this space," he told the imam. "Shakil didn't just give us a court, he gave us a reason to come together." Yusuf, who had once lingered on the margins, now became a regular part of these gatherings. He brought his own modest gifts, dates, tea, and stories of his homeland. The children adored him, especially Aisha, who often sat by his side, listening to his tales of Damascus before the war. One breezy afternoon, as children played on the court, a man arrived at the mosque. Tall and broad-shouldered, with graying hair and a familiar presence, he watched the game quietly. Kareem approached him, extending a hand. "Welcome, brother. Are you here for the youth program?" The man smiled warmly. "Actually, I'm here because of a friend. Heard he did something special here." Kareem's eyes widened. "Are you a friend of Shakil?" The man laughed. "Yeah, you could say that. Name's Reggie. I was his teammate back in the day." Word quickly spread, and soon, Reggie was surrounded by excited kids, each eager to hear about Shaq's days on the court. Reggie, charismatic and full of humor, shared stories that brought laughter and awe. "Shaq's got a big heart," Reggie said to the gathered crowd. "But what he found here, this sense of community, you all gave that to him. That's what he loves." With Reggie's encouragement, the mosque organized a charity event to raise funds for local refugee families. The basketball court became the centerpiece, a symbol of generosity that inspired others to give back. Yusuf, moved by the idea, offered to share his story during the event. With hesitant but steady words, he spoke of his family's journey, the loss of his wife and daughter, and the comfort he found in this new community. Shaq couldn't be there in person, but he sent a recorded message displayed on a projector before the gathered crowd. "Hey, y'all!" His deep, familiar voice boomed through the speakers. "I wish I could be there today. But just know, what you're doing, coming together, helping each other, that's what it's all about. I might be a big guy, but this community has a heart way bigger than mine. Keep lifting each other up. Much love." Applause filled the room. Many had tears in their eyes, moved by Yusuf's story and Shaq's encouragement. In the weeks that followed, the community's connections deepened. Families who had once felt like outsiders now felt at home. The court was used not just for games, but for discussions, support groups, and classes. Amira, Aisha's mother, began organizing language lessons for newly arrived refugee women. Kareem helped young men find job opportunities. The mosque became a haven, a place where differences melted into a shared purpose. Shaq's anonymous gift had planted a seed, and the community's care and dedication nurtured it into something greater. Months later, a letter arrived at the mosque. It was from Shaq O'Neal, addressed to the entire community. In it, he expressed his gratitude for the warmth he had experienced during Ramadan and for the chance to be part of their family. He ended the letter with a promise. "Next Ramadan, if you'll have me, I'll be back. And this time, I'll bring my best game. Save me a spot on the court." The letter was framed and hung on the wall of the mosque's main hall, a reminder of the day a giant came in humble service and left behind a legacy of unity. The following Ramadan, as the sun set on the first night of Iftar, the community gathered again. The air buzzed with excitement. Children ran across the court, their laughter echoing off the walls. The elders sat under the shade, sharing tea and memories. And among them, blending in with ease, stood Shaq O'Neal. This time, not a stranger, but a brother. Aisha ran up to him, her face alight with joy. "Are you ready, Shaq?" "We've got a game to play," Shaq grinned, his massive frame bending low to meet her eye level. "Oh, I'm ready, but are you?" The crowd gathered as the game began, a mix of young and old, locals and refugees, Muslims and non-Muslims. The court, a gift of love and humility, had become more than just a space for play. It was a testament to what a simple act of kindness could grow into, a legacy of compassion and unity. Guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this story. Let us know about your thoughts in the comment section. Also, subscribe the channel for daily stories notification.